Why, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Anime Club. I'm Nick Knack. With me is Realm Shifter.
One of us.
As if I wasn't already, but okay.
I am affirming.
Alright, affirming.
And Seki.
Yup.
So Vorn should be here. He might show up partway into this recording. But those who fall behind get left behind, so they say.
This is punishment. This is his anime, and this is punishment.
So, yeah, this week we watched, or at least for this cycle, we watched the second half of Railgun Season 1. Mm-hmm. I guess I'll go first this time. I don't normally volunteer myself, I don't think.
Well, let's preface this with we know Vorn gave this an approval. It's his anime. He likes this.
Yeah, I don't think Vorn has a problem with this arc. I haven't heard him say anything bad about it. We'll consider him an approved until we hear otherwise. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm going to give this an approved. I'm a little bit less strong on this one, though, compared to other ones. Because, in my opinion, this might be the second weakest arc of this anime.
Mm-hmm. I would like to say, we actually last did this anime in a different season format.
Yes. Yeah, so. Was there any major differences in the?
Once we give our ratings, then we'll go through some of the technicalities of it because we didn't cover it last time.
Mm-hmm. I think my problem with this is there's times where the season feels like it's doing stuff, but then when you really sit and think about it, they took 6 episodes to get somewhere you probably could have gotten in 3.
Yeah.
And unlike the last season, they're not trying to make this one feel slice of lifey as much. Yeah. Not nearly as much.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I'm a little teeter-totter on it, is just the pacing of this half is less strong for me.
So is it like a weak approval?
Yeah, for me at least.
Mm-hmm. I'll go ahead and give my thoughts next on this one. This one bumps up because last time for the first season, I gave this one a bit of a meh. But this time it actually does also eke out approval, though also like you, Nick Knack, a very slight approval in this regard. And it's mainly because it actually focuses less on the slice of life aspect of this series. And while you're right, it does kind of suffer from some of the pacing issues that you're talking about. Oh.
Here comes the boy. Hello, boy. Welcome.
Hello, world. Do we want to pause this?
Nah. We're going to keep going while...
You keep going, I'm going to go let him in.
All right, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so, continuing on from where I was last at, it does suffer a little bit from those pacing issues. I will say that it's more so that the creators are working with what they've got here because they have 24 episode runtime instead of the usual
plus the
12.
OVAs.
Yes. Yeah. So they've got more time to kind of just take their time with things in comparison to if this was like a 12 episode anime. I feel like it would be a lot more rush in that case and there wouldn't be as much time for certain developments to happen. But other than that, I'd actually say that this one is more so. It's approved for me just because I actually like that we get more info on the characters overall this time around, rather than them kind of fucking around doing slice of life crap.
Yeah, I mean, tonally, it was pretty different from the first 12 episodes. And I mean, so for me, I gave the first 12 kind of an approved on the basis that, it wasn't bad. And honestly, at this point, it's kind of like Stockholm Syndrome, PTSD. We've watched so much Index, franchise that...
It's like an abusive ex-relationship.
Yeah, it's just being, forced down my throat. I still feel the same about it. It's a fine series. So it's getting an approved. There's nothing wrong with it in my opinion, but it's definitely not to my taste personally. I would not have continued or chosen to watch this on my own. Obviously I didn't when it came out because I didn't know about it, but it's not my cup of tea, but I could see how it would be someone's cup of tea. So it's an approved for me, but not a strong one.
All right, Vorn, you showed up. The Great Lord Vorn.
Everyone, the Great Lord Vorn.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah, I got stopped by a bunch of geese on the road.
Oh, geese are fucking demon birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I stopped through Starbucks and still got here at 9:59.
Fashion.
Geese don't want to move.
I almost hit a deer the other night. Do you think that stopped me?
That's why you blast.
You just keep trucking.
You gotta blast your horn at them.
I think the people in the Midwest are now going to be very, very concerned about you. You do realize
Look,
that.
I live in a place where sometimes you have to worry about coyotes and wild deer. And there was that time with the bobcat and the mountain lion a while back. I remember when I wasn't supposed to go outside because there was a mountain lion in our neighborhood.
Oh my.
Ironically, experiences the boys do not have where they live.
Ironically, that.
We presumed that you gave this an approval.
Yes, of course.
That's what I figured.
Any thoughts you have on this half the season?
I mean, I do like the index and like their side stories. Like, I do like this series a lot right there. I do feel that like at the start, this is just, it's not exactly the best way, but it does introduce you to the characters. So like, I could understand during the first half, which we already did watch, it was kind of bland, with the second half being far more better. So yeah.
It's funny, I'm sure I'll mention this now. I think I mentioned it at the preview section as well. This entire arc is completely anime original, yet I have to admit, even though like my approval became more of a weak approval, it feels odd that this isn't part of the original manga, because it does actually finish up. It rounds out that. Well, we'll get there. But yeah, it's anime original. It's odd that it wasn't. That it is, in my opinion.
Well, with that being said, last time we covered this show, we didn't really go in on animation or production or anything.
Yeah.
And not that we go particularly deep now, but I would like to note this is a JC staff production.
So we've gone in on the production in every other angle and brought this up. I'm not dissing you here.
Yeah.
That's just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is done by JC staff, who've done things like Revolutionary Girl Utena, Karen, which you remember as T.H.E Vampire.
Oh, that was a fun series.
Right, it really was. Toradora. So I think JC Staff does all of the Index franchise, it looks like. They also did Kaitawa Maid-sama, Bakuman, Yokai Zakuro. Like a lot of shows. We've covered them before. We've talked about them before. We've seen other things they've done before. And I think we've all, on our own, watched something from this. Food Wars is in. Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Prison School, Shimonetta, Flying Witch, Psyche K. So we've literally covered this on the channel. Like,
yeah.
JC staff can be a bit hit or miss when it comes to their animation. I think they're fine here.
Yeah.
But it's always, there's like a sliding scale in JC staff.
and of course, this came out between 2009 and 2010, this season. So it's not the newest, but it's not particularly ancient or aged.
No.
Yeah.
It is relatively recent. Music is by Maiko Iuchi. She or he, I'm not sure. They did Ace Combat, like some of the music for the game. So they've done the Index music. And then it looks like they're doing quite a bit of music these days. Akudama Drive from 2020 was done by them. And a lot of other stuff, although not a whole lot I've heard of. So like maybe either smaller productions or things that are a little bit more niche to my interest, so I just haven't heard of them.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, so... And then directed by Tatsuyuki Nagai. That seems like a familiar name to me. It is Toradora
Yeah.
and Anohana.
I guess we also have the OP and the ED here.
Yeah.
We got two OPs in this one, right?
Well, the first one was a carryover from the last OP, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we start with the old OP and then like an episode or two and we move into the new one.
Yeah.
I thought the new OP was a little weaker in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the old one had an energy to it that this one kind of just falls back onto
I mean, it's
familiar territory.
It's certainly no We Are.
Yeah.
We are. Oh my.
And
I think the OP was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. I'd say I'd actually rank it a little bit lower, though, than first season's OP, just because that song is a lot more iconic.
First season popped off a bit harder.
Yeah.
As far as OP is concerned. Anyway.
Also, maybe it's just me, but I really like the kind of peppy poppy sort of thing, and that was a little bit more present Season 1's OP.
Yeah.
I do prefer Peppy and Poppy.
Yeah.
I think I'm at that same angle here. I think of the entire Index franchise, the first OP is the second strongest, though. So that is a hard bar to beat for the rest of the Index franchise.
Yeah.
I'm also not. I'm not partial to the ED, but I think that's just because it's much harder for me to really enjoy an ED. I think the last EDs I truly enjoyed were the two from season 1 of 86, and then the one from Interspecies Reviewers.
Those are the three that I
I think those were maybe the recent Fairy Tale ED, but that might have been like just the most recent stuff I've actually enjoyed.
I actually do remember the first ED from the original season a lot better than this one, but part of that's just because it's one of those EDs that open up with an English phrase that's pretty easily recognizable. It's just "Dear my friends," and then it goes into the ED, so I can kind of remember that better. The same way I remember Fairy Tale's Merry-Go-Round. I remember that for similar reasons.
You mean Snow Fairy?
No, Merry-Go-Round, the ED for...
Which was an arc I didn't like, by the way, but I remember that ED very well.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
it's always a little bit easier to remember an OP or an ED when you've got a line or two of English and a catchy space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And clearly the anime remembers the ED from ED1 because the last episode is named after the ED1.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, that's just right. I think the OPED from the first half were a little bit stronger.
So it's a collective. So that means that I would like to rationalize this out here, though. So I've given both halves of this show an approved.
Yeah.
So have you. You have not.
No, I gave this one an approved.
Not
Not the first season.
So-
I gave that a meh.
How do you feel? Because generally, when we're doing approvals on like the second half of a series, and we're considering it for best anime of the season, which this is not in the running for me, but we're gonna discuss this. How do you feel about the completed series?
I feel much better about the completed series. I feel honestly like what they should have done. I understand like this is kind of more of a side arc in comparison to the main Index series, but I feel like that this actually would have been better served had they not opened on straight slice of life. I would have preferred that a little bit more interspersed throughout the series.
You'd have preferred they opened up on something a little bit more
tonally serious rather than going straight into kind of like just slice of life, character daily life arc.
Okay, but at the same time, we can take your approval this episode as it would qualify for the whole series.
Yes.
For our vote eventually for end of season. Okay.
Yeah.
So this will be in the end of season, kind of best of the season. It's not getting my vote, but
Yeah.
to each their own.
Look, it's competing with a Fate for me. Do you really think it has a chance?
Nura.
I do agree with Realm like that. We probably could have gotten rid of a little bit of the slice of life because.
Well, I don't think Realm thinks we needed to get rid of it.
I don't-
think he
yeah,
thinks
it
you
was
should just shift it around.
Yeah, I would have rather it
for example, if in T.H.E, right, that first 25 episodes that was all filler slice of life.
Yeah.
What if we'd actually started with an actual arc and just gotten one of each of those tiny minor filler arcs kind of interspersed into a couple of actual story arcs?
That would
have been better.
It would have been
I think that's what
better.
I'm saying.
Yes, that's
is see an actual arc and then kind of get to know the characters as you go along outside of serious situations. Not here's them joking around for a significant chunk. And
for
then
a significant
move on.
chunk. Oh, now we get to this tonal shift, and it's completely different circumstances.
But at the same time, it is a branch off series, so I can kind of see why they would start with some slice of life stuff. So I get it.
I think also the problem is since they already have a established timeline with the original series, you kind of have to go with that with the side story. Otherwise, you kind of doing some fucky-wucky stuff.
Well, it's not as if the slice of life is written in to happen at specific days and times that are listed out for us in the original series.
Not yet.
It's not yet, and therefore my statement stands. Fuck off.
Yeah, it gets a little messy when you gotta remember that this is also a tie-in to a main series as well. So especially since the author tries to keep some chronology going, it makes some sense that they're maybe starting this out with slice of life rather than getting into the meat of what the actual show is about. But I still think, honestly, it would have benefited, at least pacing-wise, for me at the start, if they had more serious like thing, and then they kind of go into slice of life in some of the later arcs where it maybe makes a bit more sense.
You would have preferred it be a little bit closer to the pacing of this half, where you do have a couple smaller arcs that are more character-driven, more actually, like there's more of a story to them, as opposed to just the first arcs where it was a long stretch of slice of life with the occasional one-off, more something happening episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're starting to eke into story character territory here. Does anyone have any last things in the spoiler-free section to bring up?
Nope.
Nay.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and move on. We will see you next time.
Try harder, everybody.
Like, comment, subscribe.